Well, without doubt, obviously the most interesting thing I ever did was one of our so-called rubbish trawls. It had a name for it. This was the early hours of June 1980, because the Russians changed over 25% of their national servicemen every 6 months, and they're a bit casual at that time. So about, must have been 3:30 in the morning, we go in the car onto the training area to the back of what was 16 Guards Tank Division at Neustrelitz, hid the car at the edge of the wood, and the tall non-commissioned officer, myself, then set forward towards the rubbish pit, which was by the back gates. We had already noted that there was no sentry in the sentry tower, which was not unusual. They'd loyally mounted about 6 o'clock in the morning. As we got near the rubbish pit, we could see that the back gate wasn't in fact properly closed. So, looking around us rather nervously, went up to the gate. Tall non-commissioned officer stood by the gate, and I went in on the pretext of asking for help, that our car got bogged down or whatever excuse came to mind. And I saw the building to my right, and the door was shut, so I opened the door, unlocked, went in, and there was obviously a very smart office, opened the door, again unlocked, and there on the desk was a whole piles of different coloured cloth-bound documents, which I knew were Russian classified documents. So, feeling very uneasy, I simply grabbed the top document of the right-hand pile, which I knew to be a secret document. I then put it under my jersey, left, closing the door, left, closing the door, went to Sergeant Geary, said, "I've got something, let's go." With the car now moving, I got hold of the document, opened it out, looked at it, and realised it was a technical manual of a tank that I'd never seen before. Subsequently, it turned out that I'd stolen what turned out to be the technical manual of the T-80 tank, which we'd never before seen in the West, and there were all sorts of ramifications as a result of it. Yes, I was then awarded the MBE in the New Year's honours, and when I received my MBE from Her Majesty, one never discusses what she said to you, except she commented how interested she'd been in reading my citation, and well, yes, you can surmise it might have been the first occasion that she'd awarded an MBE to somebody for stealing.
Threatened as in if the traffic regulator, or what we used to call Reggies, they were the ones who stood on the roads operating the convoys to travel through. If they did stop you, they 9 times out of 10 they'd put a gun to the window and just hold it there. So that's as good a threat as anything, I think, for you not to do anything. But I did say to an officer one day, he's sitting in the back, Colonel, and he was sitting in the back, and he said, "Oh, this is a bit embarrassing." So I said my words to him, "Shall we have it away?" And he said, "You must be something joking," because he had a gun to his throat through the back window. Yeah.
But they often detained you in other situations. I mean, military exercises didn't just take place in restricted areas. You could come across lots of activity anywhere you went in East Germany. There were 20 Soviet divisions there. And of course they knew that we were interested in them, and they would take often offensive action against us to detain us. And that's when they would make accusations that you've been carrying out espionage, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was always very exciting, and you had to be prepared for the unexpected. We set off touring operationally for perhaps 3 days and 2 nights in one go, once a week perhaps, for me anyway. And you had a plan and you had an operational brief which you had to memorize, but the unexpected was always just round the corner. We had no communication, so you played it as it was, the 3 of you in the car. And I remember on one occasion we were briefed to check out what we thought might be a derelict ammunition depot, but nobody was really sure, and it might have had at some stage some sort of nuclear connection. And it was very cold, and we went in over a frozen river, frozen stream, so as not to leave any tracks, and we had to cut the wire where it crossed over the stream to get in and use the stream as a road, if you like, which was fine for about half a mile. And then the ice cracked and the whole shebang went to the bottom of the stream. and it was very cold, and there was the water came pouring in and cut the engine, of course, straight away. And I climbed out onto the sunshine roof and started to get some cameras and stuff off the seat in the back where I was. And we had a very good senior NCO in the front who was Special Forces trained, and I said, well, look here, you're one of these smart fellows who knows what he's supposed to be doing, sort it out. So he leapt out, paddled across to the bank, stood on the bank and took a picture of me in absolute mayhem before he did anything else, which had us a bit alarmed, but we eventually got out.